Saturday live. I'm Rich Lieberman, and I have absolutely no idea why I'm talking like this. It's not an affectation. It's not something I'm doing on purpose. I'm just doing it for no apparent reason. Maybe it's part of my mental prowess. Maybe it's just my endorphins working overtime to get me back to where I was about 5 years ago. Hi, folks. Welcome to the Rich Lieberman Saturday deal. I was supposed to be on last night or wherever your time zone is. In the evening, I did 3 shows. I did talk about certain things. Anchors, mentioned the fact that I like Liz Cook. I talked about the fact that I said, screw you, Bay Area media, which I meant. Again, you have to take these things for what they're worth. Not literally, but I went over the whole thing. Okay. I've said repeatedly my situation. What a shameless, ridiculous, marginalized media, the little media that we have here in the what used to be the number 4 market is now number 6 and dropping. So why am I here today and talking? Well, a few things. I wanted to level with you. Not that I haven't leveled with you already. And I want to get this room filled. There's nobody there. I didn't plug it on my Twitter page, so hopefully word will get out. And not because I'll mention Ron Owens, which I will, or Laura Owens, which I will. But we'll talk about a few things. And it's a perfect Saturday afternoon. I'm on the Pacific time zone. You may be on the Eastern time zone or the Central time zone, or maybe you're in, I don't know, middle of the night in Japan or Thailand. I have people that have emailed me and told me that for whatever reason, job, social life, what have you, they're literally across the pond, over the various oceans. Work, personal life took them to such and such Singapore, China, Japan, what have you, Australia. And they used to read me when I was writing and now watch me so they can get some semblance of Bay Area media because they, spend a good part of their lives here. So I talk about those kind of things. And I appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel or maybe local in the Bay Area or maybe somewhere in the US, Canada, Mexico, wherever, Australia, Japan, Singapore, okay, Europe. So I wanted to speak to you guys about just what an odyssey I've been through. And it's not feeling sorry for myself, although I guess in a way I kind of want you to kind of sort of try to understand my situation. Okay. Because I had no idea this was happening. I really didn't. I've been experiencing these weird sensations with the walking, which has really gone sour, hopefully on the mend, and it feels that way. And being diabetic, which I am, but supposedly all the sugars are down. And I say supposedly because I've had, they bring you and they do this and they do that. And it involves quite a bit of things that I don't want to bore you. Suffice to say that I really effed up big time. It's too early to start swearing, and I try not to swear, not because I'm not a prude. I'm not. We're all adults, but I just don't like swearing early. And if I could try my best not to use an epitaph unless it's necessary, I will try to be devoid of cursing. But I had this thing, and I didn't want to confront it. I didn't know what was going on, and so I went to see the doctor because I wasn't. How can I put it? I had a little minor fall, and they told me that everything was good. They did some blood work and all that, but my difficulty walking concerned them. So they did a CAT scan. Then they did an MRI. That's where they told me that you have this spinal stenosis, which freaked me out because oh, and neuropathy, which is a kind of an embellished moment of diabetes. Those of you that have it, you know about it. Those of you who don't but have heard of it, okay. And I was losing weight before, but not to the extent that I was losing weight now, and which is helpful because the less weight you have, and clearly the less weight you have, the easier it is. Of course, duh. Doesn't that kind of affect your overall health? Just lack of weight, within reason, right? But you combine that with drinking, which I didn't drink heavily until later in life, but it wasn't helping me. And I just had assumed that it would all be, it'll pass me up, that kind of a thing. Well, it doesn't. And drinking, if you're a diabetic, would be akin to pouring the proverbial match over the, gasoline. Stupid, stupid, stupid. But you never think rationally when you're drinking, right? And I was Mr. Happy Go Lucky, running around wearing my nice suits, having fun, and not thinking about consequences, not thinking about things that would eventually come back to haunt me, which inevitably they will, especially in my case, because I'm not a man of luck. Sometimes I get lucky, and it has nothing to do with women, in my case, or just overall luck. It's just I didn't get and don't get lucky for a variety of reasons. So I was drinking. I gave that up because I got bored with it. And about a year ago at this, it was actually in March, I had these weird sensations. I couldn't walk well anymore. And this had hit me 5 years earlier. And I, again, never attributed this to neuropathy, diabetes, et cetera, et cetera. They still don't know what caused it, but let's put it this way: being diabetic doesn't help matters. So I was just doing my show, and things came to a head. I couldn't get up. I had a minor fall. Um, saw the doctor. I mentioned the blood work was okay, but my walking was el succo. So they wanted to admit me back in October, early October, and I said no. And then I went back 3 days later because I had another issue, same vicinity. Anyway, long story short, in that regard, that's when they determined, courtesy of the MRI, which is a trip, that I have this spinal stenosis, which is basically like when you have over compression of your spine. And the only way they get it right is by surgery. And I was always told, don't get surgery if you have to, unless you have to, I should say. So again, I'm going to shorten up the story, but I didn't want to get this surgery. The alternative, I asked, what is it? Well, you can get paralyzed. When can we get the surgery? And it was the following Monday I had the surgery. This was late October, the 27th to be exact. So I pulled through. It was a 3-hour procedure, and I had a great surgeon. And fortunately, I had insurance, which I didn't even know. I mean, I did know, but I didn't know to the extent that I had it. And that was on the 27th of October. So that's over, what, 3.5 months ago. And do I feel better? No. Am I getting better? Yes. My hands are, the shits, excuse my French. I did swear, but it was, that was kind of a semi-adult. We use that word. And so basically, I'm in recovery mode. Okay. Yes, I've lost a lot of weight. Part of that attributable to my surgery, but a lot of that, I mentioned I gave up drinking. I just don't like to drink anymore. People say, good for you. Well, it is good. I didn't do it for that reason. I just got tired of it. The taste of vodka sucks unless you're like really into that. And even then, it just contorts the body, it messes it up, it screws around with your metabolism. I'm not being preachy. God bless those of you who do things and are able to migrate, in moderation, like everything else. Moderation, anything. So basically, again, I use that word. I hate that word, basically. What a stupid word. It doesn't mean anything, basically. So I'm gonna go push ahead. So it's been 3.5 months and didn't do this show. I only had an iPhone with me. I didn't have the computer. Those of you wondering where the hell did I go? Not that you give a damn, or maybe some of you were really, really worried, and I appreciate those of you who reached out. Many of you did not, which, kind of disappointed me. But that's when you really know who your friends are or not your friends. And look, I get it. I built up this wall. People didn't like me because I critiqued and was very, very personal about it. You reap what you sow and all that kind of. I knew that. Maybe if I was Mr. Nice Boy and, was kind of like the male, Mary Poppins, I probably would have gotten more attention in that regard. That's not why I do what I do. But I was still disappointed because some of you, like, yeah, you can't pick up a phone, you can't do an email. Hey, how are you? Are you okay? Kind of a thing. So, nevertheless, that was my reason. And then once I got released, I had to rehab. I'm still rehabbing, but now I'm home. I'm not at a facility. I'm not at a hospital. I'm not at a skilled nursing facility. I'm basically on my own with help every now and then from nurses. Thank you, insurance. Boy, do I have a story about that, which we won't go into detail. So, folks, all I'm saying, it's tough. It is so tough because it involves your spine, which controls your legs, your arms, your hands, your feet, and all that, your look, and some of the things, forgive me, for this and other things. It's just, I am trying to get my life back, but not the drinking part of life and things that I can control and that I can I was a wreck. My sisters saw it, relatives saw it, extended family saw it. And, I had an excuse that I didn't even know of, but turns out my walking was bad, which leaded me to have the surgery. And it's hard work to get back, and this has been ongoing for many years. And so it's going to take a while. My hands are like paws, and that's PAWS, not PAUSE, although I did pause a lot. And, look, I watched a lot of television. No, didn't want to watch TV. And the TV where I was at didn't work much. So I did a lot of radio listening, believe it or not. I tried to read, which is hard because my eyes are not great. Better, but not great. And so, I asked for donations, and a lot of you have been wonderful. You've helped me, and those of you that have, you know who you are, and I appreciate that. It's a cliche, but all of the donations go to me, which goes to the show, because that's what I do. And I talk about the media, I talk about local media, and national media, international media, and streaming, and just overall state of being rich, Lieberman. And what I try to sell here, figuratively speaking, is genuineness and authenticity, no notes. I'm not doing research broadcast. I'm not here to tell you about cryonics or, the way the media does this or that. I give you my own impressions, my own feelings about various people and cable networks and streaming networks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. every now and then Ron Owens, what he's doing, various people in the Bay Area media, maybe they're retired, maybe they're about to, etc. And like a day like today, Saturday, I embellish certain things. So I've tried to tell you that indeed, yes, it's very, very irksome and taxing and difficult. But I've always said, and it's true, it's like life. You do something that you don't really like or regret, and you want to get back on to a mending process that you believe is going to help you. Well, if it's something that was lengthy getting to, it's going to be lengthy amending and getting back to where you want to be at. Sounds kind of, I use this word a lot, cumbersome, and it is. So if you can donate, it all goes to me, and I can give you a quality show, or maybe not a quality show, but at least something to where you can watch and ascertain and agree or disagree or just do some thinking and that kind of a thing. So later on, and we're talking to you on Valentine's Day, and I already gave you my impressions about Valentine's Day. I think it's like a few other people. Irksome, cumbersome, obnoxious, irresponsible at times, a ripoff. Yes, yes, yes. I will try to do my best to do a live media rich, anything and everything broadcast on Saturday afternoon, evening, and who knows how long it will go. But spread the word, and I will put something out on Twitter stating to you what I'm going to talk about. We'll talk about Ron Owens. We'll talk about Laura Owens. I'll state some things about that. We can talk about this is a real tragedy, obviously, the Guthrie issue. They find her, they don't find her, they got clues, they don't got clues, they haven't found her yet. It's becoming more and more difficult. Now we're past 2 weeks. And is she alive? They don't talk about that much. She being Nancy Guthrie. Did I get her first name right? I forgot. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. The Guthrie woman, 84. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about how the media has covered it or hasn't covered it. And I will go off on various things. It'll be a Saturday, middle of the month kind of broadcast, and we'll go from there. In the meantime, drink your water, drink whatever you want to drink, Kool-Aid, syrup, what have you. Spread the word. If you can donate, great. If you want to email me, rich.lieberman@gmail.com. 415-999-4454 is my text number. And I will be back later on Saturday. Again, go to Twitter @Rich415Media, Rich415Media, and I'll give an update. And we will be back later on, voice willing. And we'll talk. See you later.